Hi there everybody, welcome to this ProWorkflow training video in which we're going to focus on the profitability report, how to access it and how it works. So you may have noticed that it doesn't really exist anywhere within the core tool. It's not squirreled away in time, it's not squirreled away in reports. That is because it exists as an app, so it's an external tool that you'll be using. To get to it, you need to go to our website, so just ProWorkflow.com, go through to apps, and then up the top right we'll see the profitability report, just here. We hit see more, we agree to the terms, and then we say use it now. It'll come straight through to this login screen here. So if you have your API key from the client area, feel free to paste it in here. Otherwise, if you have your account available, you just need to copy in your URL right up until your company name here, like so. Now next, I'm going to use my username and password, and here's the report. So it's broken up into two different steps. The first is selecting which pool of projects you're drawing from. This is important because the profitability report can work for either a single project or several at once. So if you need to run something for many at once, for example, all belonging to a certain client or all belonging to a certain category, you'll need to select that up here. For the purposes of this training, I'm just going to say all and all. And of course, with the project statuses, I'll just say active. Once I hit search, you'll see that based on the parameters I have access to all of those projects here. So these are all of my active projects. I can either do all or I can pick a specific one. If I say all, I then get to choose a task status. So if I want to focus on all tasks, active or completed. Now pay attention to that because it will be important when it comes to deciding whether you're focusing on events happening in the past, so projects in time you've already tracked, or things coming up in the future that are still active, are still being worked on, maybe don't have time tracked against them yet. If we say all tasks, you see you do get the option to use allocated time for current tasks, for ones that don't have their full allotment of time spent yet. Of course, the allocated hours is your estimate, so it'll just use that estimate instead of the real. Now, of course, if we go with active, the same applies. If anything is not yet complete, we can just use the allocated time, and if we go completed, we just can choose a series of dates. I'll say all tasks for now, but moving through, we've got our billing method. So this is where we'll be choosing what our income source is for this project. We can either go with the quoted value, we can go with allocated hours against rates, or we can go with actual hours against rates. Now, because I'm using a demo account, most of my projects are unfinished, I'm going to say allocated. Now, you'll see you get the extra option here to charge for overtime. With the fixed project cost, you can include expenses, and with actual hours, you don't get any selections. For choosing the rate type, this is effectively where we determine where our numbers are coming from. Now, you'll see you're able to set staff rates and pay here. So anybody that has numbers specified, if they've tracked time, if they've spent time on any of your projects or your tasks, it'll use these rates. Otherwise, it will just use the defaults as listed. Now, again, I'm going to say staff rates just because that is a good focus for this report. And when I hit run here, this is how it'll load in. So first of all, we'll get our client and then their projects, and then it'll list out tasks. So for anybody that has spent time on these tasks, for example, Annie and John here, they'll be listed underneath. If I scroll down a little bit further, you'll see that we've got Josh has been assigned to most of these tasks, and it'll break down hours per person for these tasks. Now, first of all, it'll give us how much has been allocated versus tracked. That's just drawing directly from the account. When we move over to billable, this is where it'll determine, of course, the rate of the specific staff member. If it doesn't have somebody assigned, it'll just use the default. But you see here, because we selected allocated hours, I've got a $75 rate, 1 hour was spent. So our billable amount should be $75, and the same calculation will be run for the rest of these as well. For the actual cost, that is the pay rate that we set earlier. So you remember the default was 50 here. So based on all these tasks going for as long as they're estimated to, based on the pay rate that we've got as a default, you see the same calculations being done. So 1 hour against $50, $50 calculation. 8 hours against that same rate, we get 400. Now it'll compare these two stats overall, so per task you'll get a breakdown, and of course for the overall project you get a breakdown up the top here as well. Now for certain clients, you can also get that total up the top here, so bear in mind. Now, I hope this has been helpful. If you do have any further questions, of course, reach out to us and we are more than happy to help you out with our profitability report. Send an email through to subscriptions or support@ProWorkflow.com. That was subscriptions@ProWorkflow.com or support@ProWorkflow.com, and we'll get back to you shortly. Have a good one. We'll see you later.